Jonathan Lee Riches investigates Dylan Mortensen. She has the right to remain silent. She doesn't have to speak to any of us. She doesn't have to speak to the media. She doesn't have to speak to YouTubers. She doesn't have to speak to the public. She doesn't have to speak, period. But yes, she does. Yes, she does. She doesn't have that full right to remain silent. Why? Subpoena. Subpoena. The prosecution or the defense of Bryan Kohberger in the Moscow 4 case has the right to subpoena Dylan Mortensen and make her speak or produce records. And I will show you why they can do that. Check it out. So this comes off the official Idaho state government website, State of Idaho Judicial Branch, Idaho Criminal Rule 17, subpoena. For attendance of witnesses, forms, issuance. A subpoena must be issued by the clerk of court or the judge and must command each person to whom it is directed to attend and give testimony at the time and place specified in it. The clerk may issue a subpoena signed and sealed, but otherwise in blank, to a party requesting it must be filled in blanks before it is served. For production of documentary evidence and of objects, a subpoena may also command the person to whom it is directed to produce the books, papers, documents, or other objects designated in it. The court on motion may quash or modify the subpoena if compliance would be unreasonable or oppressive. The court may direct that books, papers, documents, or objects designated in the subpoena be produced before the court at the time prior to the trial or prior to the time when they are to be offered in evidence, and may, on their production, permit the books, papers, documents, or objects or portions of them to be inspected by the parties and their attorneys. Got service, how it was serviced, place of service, subpoena for taking deposition in place of examination when an order has been entered by the district court authorizing the taking of deposition. The clerk must issue a subpoena requiring the attendance of the deponent witness. The deposition must be taken only in the county in which the deponent resides, is employed, or conducts business in person and or at other place as stated by the district court in the order. Contempt. Failure by any person to obey a subpoena served on that person may be deemed a contempt of court from which the subpoena issued. Contempt. If you don't comply with the subpoena, you might get a contempt of court. You can view this at the Idaho Criminal website, state website, Rule 17, subpoena. Will Dylan Mortensen be subpoenaed? So yes, they can subpoena her and force her to testify. And there's penalties if Dylan Mortensen does not speak, if she's subpoenaed. She doesn't have the right to speak to any of us. We can't demand Dylan Mortensen to speak. I want her to speak. I'm sure a lot of you out there want her to share her side of the story. But she doesn't have that full right to remain silent. She is a potential witness with this case. So more or less, the right to remain silent does not apply to Dylan Mortensen. She would have to speak if someone issues her a subpoena. Now, she could go in there and take the fifth, but I don't know the consequences, with that. I don't know if, she might have to provide some sort of, it looks like documents, records, and whatnot if subpoenaed. Rest assured, Dylan Mortensen will be involved with the court proceedings of Bryan Kohberger. She is a key centered figure in this case. So she doesn't have the right to remain silent, nor does anyone if you get subpoenaed, according to Idaho statute and criminal law. Let me know what you think. Subscribe to my channel, hit the notification button. Do you think Dylan Mortensen will testify for the prosecution? Do you think the defense will subpoena Dylan Mortensen to testify? According to the affidavit of probable cause, Dylan was a witness. She witnessed a masked man with bushy eyebrows inside the Moscow home. So let me know what you think. We'll talk soon. I'll be posting more Idaho for Moscow content later. Justice for the victims and their families.